What up, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Fencer Princess, SoundCloud, SoundClick, and all points menagerie of the day. Don't mind my hair. It's like 12. It's 1:21 at night, and I was watching uh, more craziness of Donald Trump supporter on World Star Hip Hop, and one guy said, "F you, get out of our country," and I dropped my headphones, and you know, I you know I'm not crazy. I watch and I'm prefacing that I watch a lot of stuff on like aliens, and I read the Bible. I'm into the Bible heavy, and the Bible talks about aliens. The Bible talks about a lot of stuff. People think it's just a bunch of stories, but the Bible is a book of time, and it brings and it's telling you about what's going to happen according to what has happened. It's all mathematical. Nonetheless, but he said, "Get out of our country." And I was thinking about that. He was like, "F you, get out of our country." And I was like, "Get out of our country, get out of our country." And, we can all make the argument of whose country this is. And, the Europeans stealing the country and all that other stuff. We can go through all that. But the truth is that Europeans think this is their country. Um, Now, as far as the aliens and stuff like that in the Bible and, all that other stuff, uh, I was looking at a story today, um, and it's on Paranormal Junkies website on YouTube, and he was talking about how one person had an encounter with an alien. The alien told him that there's going to be a nuclear storm, basically, and then it went further to talk about how on another part of the website, how a dude was a time jumper, and he came from 2036, and he basically what he did was he jumped back in time to like 2010, and he told them that by the year 2036, the world is going to be split up into five different religions, and there's going to be a nuclear storm, pretty much. And in the Bible, it talks about how there's going to be a nuclear storm and how the fire is going to be so hot it's going to melt your flesh when it hits you. That's nuclear, uh, and a nuclear explosion. And then we got Donald Trump, who's a front runner for presidency, and how crazy he is about other races and other religions, and so on and so forth. And then you got the U.S. Senate, who is now trying to mandate a rule that if the president wants to, he can tell the U.S. Army to go into any country at any time, whenever he feels like it, without the consent of the Senate. And then when you start adding all that up and start adding on all the pieces, according to what the Bible tells you, according to what this time jumper said, according to all these aliens and them all saying, "Look, it's getting ready to happen bad for you people." And I'm not saying that I don't believe it. I'm not saying that I fully believe it. What I'm saying is they're all saying the same thing. Now, I believe the scriptures. That I believe. I don't necessarily dispute whether an alien said one thing or another. But what's really something about those alien stories is there's different kinds of aliens saying the same thing. And they're saying it to different people in different continents, and all the people are saying the same thing. They're all saying the same thing. And, you can only say the sky is falling to somebody so long before they finally look up. And I'm looking up because I think the sky is going to fall. Now, some people may unfriend me or unsubscribe to me. You know what? That's fine. I have, 360 subscribers? I'm not bankrolling over here, people. Um, I don't do it for the subscribers. So, this is not something that you want to, contend with and want to talk about or, dispute or encourage, then fine. But get out of my country is not a bad idea. It's not. The problem is, okay, okay. So, if did any of you see that movie? It wasn't. It's 2012, and all the facts that they were talking about 2012, how the ancient Mayans and all this stuff happens in 2012. Of course, none of that happened. Woody Harrelson in the movie was supposedly crazy, but he was talking about the super volcanoes and how there are five super volcanoes, and that is really true. And basically, the super volcano exploding and then going from California to Pennsylvania, covered in a cloud of ash, yada yada yada. And basically, the mind said every 640 years, is a cataclysmic event. There is a name for that after someone. So that did not happen in 2012. However, in the movie, it was very interesting to find out that the only place that was safe from these said cataclysms, I'm sorry, it's late at night, was Africa. And in the movie, I watched it a couple times because I'm very interested in some of the truths that transform from the movie. In the movie, they was talking about, well, at the end of the movie, Africa had risen a mile high. It rose 1,500 feet. And that's because of, the continent itself came up, just boom, rose. And all the other continents that they went to, Asia, um, the North America, South America, uh, Australia, they were all destroyed in this movie. And I just found it interesting that the largest landmass it actually survived, and not only did it survive, it thrived in the movie. And the the few people who survived, who were mostly European, because and they were rich European because they did not want poor people on the ship and didn't even tell them about the so-called arcs. Uh, Pretty much were the people who went to Africa. And Africa was the only place to survive. Now, I'm saying all that to say, now that movie was a hypothetical situation, although it did have some truths in it. But what I'm saying is, what if there's some truth to the destruction of America, Americas, and Europe, um, Asia, and Asia is not far from Africa. But nonetheless, with the way we're looking at things, with the superpowers that be, if one of us pushed a button, let's just say Kim Jong Il's son, who is, I just read on the news that they are testing nukes and they're testing the range. And they're already trying to fire nukes over Japan. That's how crazy they are. Japan is our ally. Okay, so let's just say that they nuke North Korea, not even Japan. Let's just say, yeah, let's just say that they nuke Japan because they're already killing people in South Korea by drowning them in the river. They'll do something, let the waterways rise when there's a bunch of people who live along the river, and it'll come and sweep a bunch of them away, and they'll be like, hey, we didn't know you were there, which is a lie. They do that now. But let's just say they had a nuke, fired it on Japan. Boom. Japan, our ally. China, not our ally. And I don't know, whatever the destruction amount is, whatever. That would send us right into a third world war and the final world war, from what I'm gathering from the scriptures. Um, so then you and Kim Jong Il's son is trying to test nuclear weapons today. It was just on the news again. So let's just say Japan retaliated, fired a nuke at North Korea, hit North Korea, which would also affect South Korea. Nonetheless, let's just say China turn around, hit Japan with another nuclear weapon. Boom. Now, after that, America pushes the button, hits China. After that, uh, Russia invades whoever, pretty much. Whoever was against them, but pretty much us. They push the button, they send bombs over here. We push the button, we send bombs over there. The point is, and then of course you have Syria, you have Chechnya, you have a lot of the smaller countries, and you have but Syria being that Ahmadinejad, who can't stand America. Then you have other Arab countries who can't stand it, and then the ISIS people, and so on and so forth. And then you have, of course, Australia, even though I don't know how much of a threat they are, but they are allied with us. And so you would have the bear and the eagle going at it, which is the point. You would have the bear and the eagle go at it. That would obliterate the majority of the earth. But I don't see anybody blowing up Africa. So to bring my whole point around, I'm trying to do this fast because there's so much information out there. But to bring my whole point around, getting out of America is not a bad idea. Now, if we could find a place to live in Africa, because we would be strangers in a strange land, although we would look like them, if we could afford to go across the water, and land there and live there in peace without being pretty much deported back here or killed by, Boko Haram or Idi Amin or, some of those people, uh, then it would not be a bad idea. Of course, we would have to cut out and eke out another living, whatever your trade is, I'm sure, And I have seen a video recently where there were some people, they weren't Nigerians, they were from Ghana, and they were like, come to Ghana. And they were talking to us. They were like, you people have the wrong depiction of us. They were like, come over here. So I'm saying all this to say, if the time traveler was right, not saying it is, and he came from 2036, and he had said that there was a nuclear explosion, and if the Bible is correct, when you're looking at all the numbers that entail when all this is going to happen, and the aliens are correct, and there has been more and more and more aliens saying this. And not only that, there has been metal aliens, they're just robotic, and there has been aliens that are actually creatures, and they have all said the same thing. But the Bible, we know, some people are skeptical, but a lot of us believe the Bible's true. But if you start putting all that together and look at the recent happenings of, I'm going to talk about this in my next video, the strange cities that's been floating. One was over China, the other one was over Africa. It's the same city. If you haven't checked that out, look on the internet. It's a floating city. What's really interesting about that is there was a guy abducted by an alien, and he said he got put into an alien ship, and the alien ship was maybe 200 feet, or more. But he said once he got up in the alien ship, the aliens, and they were robots, showed him around the whole ship, and there was a city inside the ship. Now, if you go back to what happened in 2011 in in um in shoot But it was a large alien ship sighting. There were so many of them, and they were moving so slow, and it was actually one ship that actually dispersed many ships, and it was in doggone it, it was in America, but I forgot what part of the country it was. But nonetheless, it was so huge and it was floating so slow. We have no ship that's that large. It was at night, and there were so many sightings of it. And they tried to play it off and say it was nothing, but a senator ended up coming forth and saying, "We have no idea what it was. It was a UFO." But what I'm trying to say is, with the recent sightings of the floating city, and then that sighting of that ship being so, it was like 5, 6 football fields. It was just huge. I'm saying that there's something going on. We know there's going to be a nuclear war. We know America is going to be part of that nuclear war. Hell, they might incite it. I don't know. But I'm saying that for the majority of us, the average working people, the working middle America and the working average American, it might not be a bad idea if we got the hell out of America. It's just something to consider. And of course, we have to figure out financially, how do we do that? Where do we go? How do we live? How do we know we're going to be safe? But there are people who go from here to Africa all the time and come back and they're safe. Then there are some people who, find some issues, but the majority of them go over there and everything's cool. And I'm saying we need to start connecting. We need to start having a large network so we can get the hell out of here when it's time. It's your boy Tone 202. Check your facts. I'm out.